This video is about practicing data cleaning. This is dummy data, and in this we have serial number, which we will fill, and here is ID number and names, and every name is given an ID number that is unique, and then there are department like HR, sales, accounting, finance, marketing, etc. And this is our objective. Regarding data cleaning, we will be answering these questions. These are 13 questions, and we'll be answering these questions. So the first step is to copy this sheet. And for this one, at the hoof, right click and move or copy, move to end, and also click create a copy. Okay. Now, a new copy has been created here at the end. So the purpose is that because I do not want to work on my original sheet, therefore I create this new copy. Okay, let's go to our objective of what are questions that we have to address. So the first one is fill the serial number column. Experiment with different methods. Okay, so this is serial number and we have to fill it, and there are a number of ways to fill it. For instance, 1, 2, and 3, and then if you drag it or just do it, it will automatically fill to 100. That's one method. Another method is you just write here sequence and then 100, because there are 100 rows. So sequence 100, and you can see it has been filled. That's another method. And there's one more method. And for that method, just write here 1 and then go to here. Here you can see in home button, click on series, and in series column, because we want to fill this column. It's a step value is 1, stop value 100, because we want 100 values. So therefore stop value is 100 and click OK, and it has been filled. So there are a number of ways to fill this one. Okay, so we are done with this one. Let's fill the serial number column. The second one is correct formatting errors in the names, make them consistent. Now, as you can see here, in this names column, there are several problems. And this is all cap, and I can see there are multiple spacing here. This is all lowercase, and again, multiple spacing. So these are inconsistent. And for this one, purpose, I will use this function that's called trim. And a trim will eliminate all redundant spaces. And then the next one is proper. And if I select this one, now this one, as you can see here, first of all, it is trimmed, which means those unnecessary spaces have been removed. And second, it's proper, which means capitalization. And we can drag it. So, okay, now in order to move further, I will copy this and paste it, but paste it as values, because I want to uh, only retain this one. Now I want to delete this column. So therefore I copied it and pasted it, but pasting only values. Okay, so this part that's also done, which means correct formatting errors in the name, make them consistent. And then the next one is split the names into first and last names, each in separate column. Okay, sometime we need this, that we want to split them into first and last name in different columns. Now, the first one we will fill manually. So we know that's Elias and Christ. And then a, a, a type here or use Control E and it will automatically be filled. And for the second one, also Control E and that's also filled. So we are also done with this one. Let's split the names into first and last name and they're in separate columns. The next one is convert the names to this format, last name, comma, first name. Okay. So for this one, I will use a command that's called concatenation. Concatenate, and I want last name first, and then there will be a comma between them, and then spacing, and then first name. So now it should appear as Christ Elias. So this is here. And if I drag it, this is the way. Now the next one is convert the names back to original format. Okay, let's practice this one. Now, how do we convert them back? And one option could be that again we split it. So for example, here it becomes last name and first name. Last name is Christ and first name is Elias. And Control E. And again here Control E. Okay. Now name will become is equal to first name or concatenate first name and then spacing and then last name. Okay, so this is what we wanted. Now we are also done with this one. Let's convert the names back to original format. The next one is use filters to glance over the data. But before I move to that one, we have so many columns here and we need to delete some of these columns because we don't have much space here. So for this one, I will again copy this one and paste it only as values. When you paste as values, then only those names will be pasted. The underlying algorithm will not be pasted. Okay, now I can delete this one. We don't need them anymore. Now for this part, that glance over them, for this purpose, we can use a filter. And for filter, I will we can use Control Shift L function. So So Control Shift L key will result in filters, and over here we use this filter to just glance over to see if there is anything wrong or not. So for instance, when I see there everything seems okay, and when I click on this one ID, now As you can see, the last value, it's also a number, because sometime if there is anything that's missing, then it appears as blank. So which means there is nothing wrong with this column. And then we can also glance over this one and everything seems okay. Now let's see if there are any blank cells or missing values. And for that purpose, we use a count function, count blank. Count blank, and I will select this whole column. So it says 0. Then I drag it to see if there are any values missing in these columns. Again, it says 0, 0, which means that in all these columns, nothing is missing. That's good. So we are done with this part. Use filters to glance over the data. And the next one, are there any blank cells? No, there are no blank cells. And we used count blank function. We didn't find any. Now the next thing is find duplicates, if any. And if there are any, what type of error it looks like. So for duplicate, I will go to conditional formatting. And in conditional formatting, there is duplicate values. But before we go to duplicate values, we need to see that where we want to find duplicate values. For instance, here, of course, there will be many duplicate values, but it doesn't matter. There will be many people from the same department. This is from HR. This is also from HR. So having duplicates in this one is not important. And then there can also be people with the same name. So again, having duplicate in this column again doesn't matter. And but this one, ID, that is unique. You should not have duplicate here. So which means that we can apply those conditional formatting rules to this column. And let's see what happens. Highlight cell rule duplicate values. And it says those cells, they will be filled with light red color. Click OK. Okay, so it looks like here are some problems. So for example, this is one, uh, the value that ends with 079, and the same value 079 again appears here. There is another value that ends with 010 and 010. So which mean here are some problems, some duplicate values. Now we need to see what is the nature of these duplicate values. So for instance, if I look at this one, the name of this person is Colin and this one is Rashad. So which me and this one is from accounting department and this one is from sales department. So which mean these people are from different departments, which mean that one entry is not repeated, but they have been assigned wrong number. So the solution to this one is that we will change their ID number. We'll change ID number of one of them. And we will make sure that the same ID number has not been assigned to anyone else. Similarly, when you look here, uh, this person, Jalen and Melody, they are different person and they are from different department. Again, it means that it's not just one thing that has been repeated, but um, one ID has been assigned to more than one people, to two people. So again, the solution to this is that we will change one of them. Maybe we can change this one to a different one. So that will be our solution. Okay, we have found duplicates. That there were two duplicates, and what type of error it looks like? The error is like just assigning one ID to two people. Then the next thing is randomize these names. Randomize these names, which mean we have these name for instance, let's say, if I, no, let me first of all clear this one, these pink color cells, and highlight cell rules and clear rules from entire sheet. Okay. Now let's say, for instance, if I talk about uh, top 10 rows. No, let's say if I want to get a sample of from top 10 rows. Now you can see that in the top 10 rows, finance appears four times, at least four times. So 3 and 4, which mean that if I just take a sample from top 10 rows, it will have 40% representation of people from finance. So sometime we want to randomize our sample, and we want to randomize because maybe we need a cell, we need a sample, or maybe because we want to change their order. And it's a good practice to randomize them so that there is no bias. And for randomization, I will use a function that's called as random. And I will use this command that's called random and then parentheses. And when I will hit enter, it will generate a random number, an entirely random number. So you see here is equal to rand and then parentheses, and it generates a random number. Now I will drag it down. Now these are all random numbers, and they keep changing. I mean, if I write here, let's say 5, they will be changing. So you see, they keep changing. Anytime you type something on this sheet, they will be changing. So I don't want them to change. So therefore, I will freeze them. So I copy them, Control C, and then I paste them at the same place, but I paste as values because I don't want underlying algorithm. I only want these values. So I click on paste values, and now they have been fixed. Now, for instance, you can press F9 key, and sometime to activate F9 key, you also have to press Fn key, which is at the left bottom of your key. So if I press F9 key, nothing happens, which means they have been frozen, they have been locked. Now, the rule is that the process is that if we, in order to randomize them, I will select them and I will go to data, and in data I will click on sort, and in sort I want to sort them by random. So it gives me different option. It says how do you want to sort by serial number, ID number, name, department, or random. I want to sort by random number. And then how do you want to, by small to largest, smallest to largest, or largest to smallest? It doesn't make any difference. We can choose any one because they are random. So you can choose either smallest to largest or largest to smallest. It doesn't make any difference. And when you click OK, now before I click OK, uh, let's see. As you can see here, our first is Elias, the second is Stacy and Rachel and Jesse. Now, when I will click OK, and it will randomize, and some other values will appear in a different order. So Elias, Stacy, Rachel, and Jesse, they will move to some other places. Let's see. If I click OK, data, and then sort, and we want to by random and values smallest to largest. And so as you can see, everything changes. Initially our first name was Elias, and then third name was Rachel, and fourth name was JC. No, they have been changed altogether. You can also see here their serial number. Our initially our serial number, it started with 1 2 3, but now it started with 17 13 94 87. So this is called as randomization. And just to give you a little bit more information, that although These names, they have been randomized, but their ID is not changed, which means initially this ID that ends with 095, it was associated with Bell, and it is again associated with Bell. And Bell was working in maintenance department. They are still working in maintenance department. Similarly, let's say JC. Uh, Initially, the ID of JC was 092, this one, and still it's 092, and JC was working in HR. They're still working in HR. So when we talk about randomization, just the order is changed, which means the whole rows, they have been randomized, but there is no change in data. So this is the whole idea for randomization. Now let's say if we say the top 10 rows. Now in this top 10 rows, initially there were 40% from finance, and now there are only two values from finance. So things have been changed. That's called randomization, and it is usually considered a good practice to randomize your data so that there is no bias. If you want to get a sample or if you want to treat it, randomization is a good practice. Okay, now I can delete this column because we don't need it anymore. And we are also done with this objective, that's randomize these names. And then the next one is make separate table for people from each department. Okay, now for this one, let me, I will use this filter function, and let's accounting. So only those people from accounting department, they appear here. I'm gonna copy them and I'm gonna paste them in a separate column. And similarly, let's say one more department, let's say finance. Now these are people from finance, they have been selected, and I'm gonna copy them and paste them uh, in another column. Okay. I will also copy header rows. And I will also copy header rows for the other one. So here we go. Now, this is accounting data and then finance data, and let's give them names. And for that purpose, uh, if you're using MacBook, you can just press Command T, or if you're not using, so if you're using a MacBook, you can press Command T, or if for any other one, you can click on Insert, and then in table, click on table, and it says this table, and my table has headers. Yeah, there is a row, the top row. Click OK, and this is selected. And let me give it name accounts. Okay, so this has been given name accounts. Now, similarly, I will also select this column, and again, you can either press Command T, or for Windows, you can press click on Insert and then Table. And my table has headers. Yes, there's a top row. Okay, and I will name it Fin. I cannot use finance because finance has already been used in this column. So I will just use Fin. Now let's see. I mean, if I click here on Fin, you see this whole table is selected. And if I click on this one, which I actually want to name account. So I can give it account. Okay. Now, if I let's say click on account, you see this table is selected. And if I click on Fin, then this table is selected. And so this is an important function in Excel that where you want to convert your data into an appropriate table. And the opposite of this is arrange, which means a simple table. Now, the reason we are doing it because one of our question is make separate tables for people from each department and then stack these separate tables into a composite dynamic table that updates itself. Now this is the part that we are going to do. Now here I will use this command that's called as vstack. So vstack and I will just write here fin because that's a name I used, and then accounts, account. So as you can see, when I write here fin and accounts, these two tables have automatically been selected. They are highlighted. And if I hit enter, we get this one. Now, over here, these two tables have been merged together, and this is a dynamic table. This new table is a dynamic table. I will explain it in a minute. By dynamic, I mean if we make any change here. So for instance, let's say here in accounting, I add someone, let's say their number is 101 and this is their ID number and their name is James and they are from, I say accounts rather than accounting. And if I hit enter, you see the same name has, this table has automatically been updated with that entry. So this was not initially there, but because I added here, it's automatically updated here. Similarly, if you delete something from here, it will also be deleted from there. If you add something here, it will automatically be updated here. So this is the whole idea, that when you have multiple tables, and actually you can also add here table from HR. So here we have data from HR, let's say this is HR, and this is data from maintenance, and we can add this data here, and then we can make separate column and then a composite dynamic table, because that's one of our objective. Let's stack these separate tables into a composite dynamic table that updates itself. And for this purpose, we are using vstack. Now, the second last question is provide the count of number of people in each department. Okay. Now, first of all, I will expand all of them. Okay, now all of our data, all 100 appears, nothing is hidden. And I want to count how many people belong to maintenance, accounting, HR, finance. So for this purpose, let's write their names. And looks like everything is there. Okay. Now we want to see that in our data, how many people come from maintenance, counting, HR, finance, sales, and marketing. And for this purpose, we will use this uh, count function. So count if, and then it says range that you want to calculate from where. Let's say if I say we want to calculate from here, I will select this whole column and command shift low arrow key or control shift low arrow key if you're using Windows, and the whole column will be selected. And then the next thing is that it says what do you want to see in this range. Say I want to look for maintenance, so I will select maintenance and I will hit enter. So it says there are 6 people from maintenance. And if I drag it downward, it says there are 21 people from accounts, 18 people from HR, 14 people from marketing. And their sum is 100. We know there are 100 rows. So that's another way. Now this information, it can be used if you want to make some pie chart or bar chart, etc. You can do that. We will discuss this thing um, at a later stage. Okay. So that was the question, provide the count of number of people in each department. And the last thing is that divide the names into 5 groups of each of 20 people. Now for this purpose, I will use a formula that's called a wrap rows. And then it says, what do you want? For example, let's say if I say I'm only concerned with names, I will select this whole one, command shift low arrow key or control shift low arrow key. And then how many groups you want to make? It says 5 group. So if now when I use this formula, what would happen? Wrap rows, which mean this column, it will be wrapped in rows, and this range will be used, which means from C2 to C101, and there will be 5 columns or 5 groups because there are total 100 names, which means each group will have 20 names. 20 times 5 will be 100. Now, look here what happens. So here you go. And as you can see here, that we have now 5 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And each uh, column is having, or each group is having 20 people. So 20 times 5 is 100. Now, this is one way. This is another way if you want to make groups of people, or again for sampling purpose or for any other purpose for making teams, then we will use this function. And that was our last one, dividing the names into 5 groups, each of 20.